Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 8, obviously otherwise known as the final season of Arrow. It's still hard to say that. But yeah, we have had a various amount of promos or trailers and posters drop, and just promo images as well for all the other DC TV shows outside of Arrow, even though Arrow got promo images, so I guess just promos and posters for Arrow, and that's been over the past week or so. But that is excluding Legends of Tomorrow, because that's not coming out, or it doesn't come back, sorry, until next year, the beginning of 2020, so there probably won't be anything in regards to Legends until probably the mid-season break, maybe? Not too sure. But this week we should hopefully get a new poster and promo material for Arrow. I think in the poster, I'm interested to see what they do there, but with the promo, it should, I guess, be like what we got with Supergirl, Supergirl, Flash, and even Black Lightning, where it was like, 10, 11, 12 seconds or whatever it was, roughly, for all of those. But I guess that's for us to wait and find out and hopefully watch. But in this video, we're going to be going over an interview that was done over on Entertainment Weekly with Stephen Amell and David Ramsey, who of course play Oliver Queen and John Diggle on Arrow. And there is actually some pretty damn interesting things in that interview to go over. And yeah, so we'll leave that interview linked in the description down below if you do want to go check it out, but we'll go over it throughout this video. But of course, throughout this video, be sure to leave all of your various opinions and thoughts and I guess theories in the comments section down below if you have any. I'm interested to see what you guys think. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're just excited for Arrow in general this season, why not drop a like on the video to show that support and hype. So yeah, I'm pretty much just going to go through the interview and just stop and give my thoughts when relevant. So yeah, pretty simple. So let's go. So we start with David Ramsey, who was basically just sort of giving an idea as to where Diggle is at the beginning of the season, because as we know, this season's a wild card. Random things are probably going to happen. So that he just wanted to give like a bit of an idea as to where Diggle is. Diggle is, as he should be, at Oliver's side. That's how we begin this season, and ultimately, that's how we end it. Now, that last bit there... Okay, we'll just go through it all. Okay, we'll go through it all before we get to that last bit. So, as I said, Arrow is a bit of a wild card this season, as in we don't really know what they're doing specifically. Like, when you pick up a normal season, okay, they're going to do some general crime fighting, and then the main villain will be brought in, there's some other storylines going on and stuff like that. But with this season, it's basically, as I've said multiple times in my Arrow videos, it is like this road to crisis, if you want to call it. So we weren't really sure if we did hang out with Diggle, was it our Diggle? And he doesn't really say, okay, it's a Diggle we've been hanging out with since season 1, but we'd have to assume it is. I don't think they're randomly going to ditch that and just go some other direction. But it does seem essentially when we pick up in season 8, it's Oliver and Diggle and most likely Laurel as well, who we'll come back and talk about in a second, just doing what they should be doing. But the last bit where he says, and ultimately that's how he ended in regards to him being by Oliver's side, does this mean that Diggle is with Oliver when he, quote unquote dies? Obviously, we have come to the conclusion, I think, obviously we might be wrong, but we're sort of at the conclusion where Oliver doesn't, technically die. You know what I mean? He isn't like stabbed in the head and his head explodes or something like that. That's not how he's going to die, or even in a similar fashion. It seems like he's going to go somewhere. He's just going to give up his place or his existence in turn for something else, but to like the rest of, Earth and I guess just Star City and stuff and people around that, he is, quote unquote dead. He'll be recorded as dead on that day. So it would be interesting if Diggle was the person that was there. I think it'd be pretty fitting if Diggle was the one that's, like, I know a lot of people said, Barry should be the one. And I think it's just maybe people that just watch Flash or really want them to be the last ones there. And, if Barry's there, no complaints at all. But I think it's fitting if Diggle is the last one that speaks to Oliver before he goes away. If they want to bring Felicity into it, I guess fair enough. I know that people might not like, oh no, Felicity's gone, don't bring her back. But if it would make sense, I guess, if there was some way that Felicity gets brought back in there. But if, they're going to do it to the point where it makes sense, because I don't think if Felicity came back, it would make that much sense, because apparently she hadn't seen him since the Monitor took him. So I think having Diggle being the one that talks to Oliver last is probably the best way to go, and I think that'd be a fitting ending to, I guess, Oliver's quote-unquote existence. But I did mention Laurel earlier on, and David Ramsey goes on to speak on about Laurel, or Black Siren, or I guess Black Canary this season, and her place in the, the new Team Arrow we're going to see this season. Their dynamic is incredible. A good chunk of what we're doing will be with the three of them in a way that they haven't been before. Now, in a lot of the promo images that we actually have gotten for Arrow this season, we have seen this new version of Team Arrow with Oliver in his new suit, Diggle in his new suit, and Laurel as officially the new Black Canary in her new suit, which is easily the best Black Canary suit we've had. It looks amazing. So I'm interested to see how they go about this. because it's been something I think we haven't had. I think it's definitely, if there's a flaw with Arrow, it's that they never really had, I guess, like the core three in regards to modern day Green Arrow comics that a lot of people wanted to see. Like, when Diggle got brought in, because Diggle was brought in Arrow and then he went to the comics, I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen like just a Green Arrow, a Black Canary, and your John Diggle, and that's like the trio you would have had. Or if Diggle wasn't there, Arsenal or another version, whatever version of Speedy it might have been. So it's going to be good to see this. I know we're only going to get it for probably not even 9 episodes if you take out the Crisis episode. You're probably going to get it for a handful of episodes just because of what's going on, but I might be wrong there. I have to wait and see. But it's going to be good just to see that dynamic because it's going to be different. But on Laurel as well, Stephen Amell talked about Oliver and Laurel's dynamic this season because it's going to be different. This is what he said. I've loved our scenes in the first 2 episodes. I thought it was important at the end of season 7, us shaking hands and Oliver saying thank you. It was scripted to the group, but I wanted to make sure going into season 8 that it was actually to her and that they shook hands, because as a character, I purposefully never called her Laurel until that moment. So her being in the mix this year, it's been a lot of fun. I think she's nailing it. So yeah, once again, it sort of just carries on from what I was saying there before with that, that trio. This is more, directed towards Oliver and Laurel's thing, because as we saw, since Black Siren was brought in, I guess specifically more last season, because in the previous seasons, like Black Siren was pretending to be good and then did some bad stuff, but last season she was generally trying to be good. So I think it's going to be interesting seeing what happens there, just because of last season, and I guess Oliver was very standoffish and Laurel was just trying to help out. Like when we sort of like were really confused that we could understand Laurel. We can understand Oliver's like sort of back offishness, if that's a word, to Laurel, but everyone else was a bit weird about it. It was almost like, let's follow the leader. And like Felicity was the only one that sort of showed Laurel any sort of support. So it is going to be sort of, it's going to be nice. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's going to be nice to seeing these two characters actually interact in a very civil way. And, as I said, the whole I don't think he necessarily got like the perfect or like the best interpretation of the Green Arrow Black Canary relationship. It doesn't have to be, a lover's relationship either. Just, even just a mutual friendship relation, not mutual friendship, like just a friendship relationship, like a close relationship. I don't think he necessarily got that to the extent that fans wanted in previous seasons. So it's going to be nice to see if they can actually redeem that. And I think it'd be fitting if they could redeem that in the final season. Now, I did mention Felicity before, and Stephen Amell did actually talk about Felicity, not in the way that a lot of people might think, but it's more about like pushing Oliver along, and this is what he said. The biggest thing is just him believing Felicity when she says, whatever happens to you, I'll find you. That's his guiding light. I'm sure that he's going to have to pass a test along the way, but this final season is more about a resolve. So yeah, I don't think this surprises us too much that Felicity will be some like pushing factor to Oliver in his journey. I think that's, that makes sense. Like, it was a main reason of what he did last season, and it's going to be like something that, as it's just said, basically is going to push him on this road to crisis. So it's not too surprising there. Obviously, the big question is whether Felicity will make an appearance. I would expect Felicity to make an appearance probably in the final episode. Episode 10. I'd be very surprised if she didn't, but that's up for debate whether that happens or not. Maybe they don't have any plans to bring her in, but I'd be surprised if they didn't. So I'd expect her in episode 10, or at least one of those final episodes. But Mark Guggenheim, the executive producer of Arrow this season, had this to say on the final season: we're basically revisiting our greatest hits in the episodes leading to the crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, we had sort of heard like different like wordings of this, and this isn't any massive news because, as I said, we've heard different wordings of it. I'm interested to see like whether each episode is almost a throwback to each season. So like episode 1 is a throwback to season 1, episode 2, season 2. That'd be interesting, but I don't think that's the case, because I think in episode 2, Tatsu Yamashiro's there, and she's from season 3's flashbacks, and I guess season 3's present day as well. So that probably isn't the case. But I mean, I am interested just to see how they go about that. And so it's its own story, but just with a bit of nostalgia, rather than just, it is just a greatest hits, because some people might not like that. I would love it. I'm not going to lie, because I love nostalgia, but I know some people might not like that. But it'll be interesting to see how they actually handle that and go about it. But Stephen added by saying this: Oh, Stephen literally said what I said. So he goes, episode 1 is like season 1. Episode 2 is about a very specific part of season 3. Episode 3 is about a very specific part of the latter half of season 3. Every episode feels like an event. It feels like a limited series. Okay, maybe I should have read what Stephen said before I started speaking crap. So anyway, yeah, so episode 2 is actually going to be about something in season 3, which is Hong Kong, if I'm right, if my brain's working. And episode 3 is about a very specific part of the latter half of season 3, which I wasn't the biggest fan. I guess it was like the last, 6 episodes of season 3. I didn't like that much, so I don't know. I have to wait and see what that is. Maybe Ra's al Ghul might make an appearance. That'd be interesting. Fun fact, the guy that played Ra's al Ghul, Matt Nable, does like these cool motivational videos for the rugby league. It's sport in Australia on Fox League, if anyone's Australian watches that. They're actually amazing. His voice works really well on them. He used to play rugby league. There's your fun fact. But anyway, thoughts on all of this. I basically gave my thoughts on it all before. I love nostalgia. I don't really care if it's one whole nostalgic, road trip, but I know some people might not like it too much, but I think they're going to handle it pretty well. And to finish off the video, they actually did provide a new sort of like behind the scenes promo image for Arrow this season, where you can see Oliver in his new suit with the season 1 bow, and you can see Laurel in her black canary suit in the background, staring at a thug that she is most likely just roundhouse kicked in the head and smashed. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, because I feel like I've just gone on a random trip and I don't even know what I said earlier on this video. But if you enjoyed it, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you later. Goodbye.